What is non-restrictive dieting, you say? Well, watch this video and find out. The first important rule of non-restrictive dieting is that you cannot restrict yourself at all from the foods that you love unless you've been medically advised by a doctor. The most important thing in food love and non-restrictive dieting is that you allow yourself always to have your favorite foods. And what happens is, and this isn't like a reverse psychology type thing, in doing that, you naturally lower your cravings for these foods. As soon as you allow yourself the license to eat whatever you want and not feel guilty about it and understand it's actually part of a holistic process that works in the short run and in the long term for people, that's the key. That's the key to everything, never restricting yourself from your favorite foods. And the reason is, and I show this drawing in a lot of videos, is that the area of food has three areas. There's the emotional, the psychological, and the biochemical. So all the popular diets that are out there, they focus on what biochemical combination of foods or food groups will help you lose weight the fastest and improve your health. But how can all of these medical doctors be right? How can there be 50 successful books on dieting and weight loss, but all of them pretty much contradict each other? How is it possible? Well, the truth is that they do all work. They do all work for weight loss. But the problem is, because you have to restrict yourself from one food group or one favorite food that you can't have anymore, that's why in the long run they don't work. So with non-restrictive dieting and food love, we reverse all of that. We start first with the emotional and the psychological, which is allowing you to always have your favorite food. You have to be happy with the food that you're eating. Then with that, we can get to the biochemical. We can find certain combinations of your favorite foods, and we'll get into food laddering and different things like that where we're slowly improving the quality of the food that you're eating. But if we start with your favorite foods, if we start with not restricting yourself, then little by little we can get to a meal and an eating plan or an eating schedule or whatever it is that works for you, because everyone's different. Some people like to eat 8 small meals in a day, and some people like having 2 or 3 large meals. Everybody's different, so I can't put one specific recipe because you have to customize it specifically to what works for you. That's what's so great about the Food Love Transformation Accelerator. I'm shooting this in 2025, and we have one group starting in January 1st of 2026 and another group starting in July 1st of 2026, where I only take on 100 people, but I work intimately with you to figure out exactly what foods you like, how you like to eat, and how we can use your favorite foods to create a win in the short run and in the long term, so your foundation with food will always be solid. If you want some more information about that, you can go to foodlovevip.com. You're probably going to see a commercial on it in a little bit as well. If you're tired of diets that force you to give up your favorite foods in order to lose weight, only to put all that weight back on once you quit that diet, then I invite you to try my completely free online program that will help you lose your first 10 to 15 pounds without giving up the foods that you love. So head on over to foodloveonline.com and get started with us today. No credit card is needed. This is a completely free online program. Even if you're incredibly busy or incredibly lazy and nothing else has worked for you in the past, this can work for you. In 3 short videos, I will take you by the hand and get you on the road to losing weight, and most importantly, happily keeping it off forever. So head over to foodloveonline.com and I'll see you over there. So when we start with the emotional and the psychological first, that's when the magic happens, because our cravings start to go away. When you realize you can have whatever you want, you don't desire that thing so much. There's something that's called the forbidden fruit effect, and it's when we prevent ourselves or restrict ourselves from having something we really want, we crave that thing more than anything in the world. So as soon as you allow yourself to have that thing, and it's not some reverse psychology where we're saying, okay, have that thing, but we really don't want you to have that thing. We just want you to think you can have that thing. No, you can actually have that thing. It's important that you have that freedom and have that feeling that you can always have that thing, because naturally it's going to cut your cravings. And when we're naturally cutting our cravings and using our favorite foods to find a customized way of eating where we're naturally and holistically taking off weight and happily keeping it off forever, that's when we have a win. So the first thing is that you can never, ever, ever restrict yourself from your favorite foods. And the second reason is because it starts to cut your cravings. And when we don't have insane cravings anymore, that's when we have a win. So here's the science and psychology of why non-restrictive weight loss works. The thing is that when you restrict yourself or you go on any sort of a diet where you have to restrict yourself from a favorite food or a food group, that's going to activate the pain centers in your brain. You're not going to feel so happy. No one says the word diet to anybody. It's probably one of the worst 4-letter words you can say at anyone. And they're going to be like, yay! You say diet, they're going to be like, oh God. So restriction and diet activates pain centers. Here's the other problem. When you crave and then eventually cheat, so the craving is the thought and then the cheating is the action, that sets off the reward centers in your brain start going nuts. Specifically, dopamine is triggered in those moments. So you can imagine everyone has this negative feeling towards restriction and diet. It doesn't feel good. But at the same time, all the craving and then someone cheats on their diet and they're not supposed to, boom, there go the reward centers. Dopamine spikes, goes through the ceiling, and that's actually the beginning of an addiction cycle. With all amazing things, there's always a VIP pass, like flying first class or getting those cut the line passes at an amusement park or gaining backstage access at a rock concert. So I wanted to offer you Food Love's VIP experience. We have 2 options that allow you to get your answers directly from me, so I can hold your hand every step of the way and virtually guarantee your weight loss success. One option offers weekly support through a Q&A call, while the other option offers you direct access to me for a full 6 months through my WhatsApp number. Both options can help you shortcut your weight loss transformation tremendously. You can choose the one that makes the most sense for you by heading over to foodlovevip.com. Once again, that's foodlovevip.com. Back to the show. So here's what happens when you don't restrict yourself anymore from your favorite foods. So with non-restrictive weight loss, this is what happens. There's no such thing as restricting and dieting anymore. If that part doesn't exist, we can't activate the pain centers in our brain because we're not restricting ourselves and we're not dieting. And also because we can have whatever food we want, the craving and the cheating doesn't happen anymore. No guilt, no shame, none of that. So instead of having this intense downward movement and this intense upward movement that dieting causes, what non-restrictive dieting does is that it creates harmony and balance. And we have the natural ups and downs of life, the natural ups and downs with our weight. Sometimes we'll put on a little bit of weight because it's Super Bowl season, it's the NFL playoffs, it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever holiday season you celebrate. Sometimes for celebratory reasons during the year. There's times of the year, sometimes in the summertime, people put on more weight, sometimes they take it off in the summertime. Everybody's different. But because we're not restricting ourselves and getting all depressed and then triggering the dopamine in our brains with craving and cheating, we're just realizing that we can have whatever we want. We are pros at putting on weight, which most of us already are, and we become pros at taking off weight because we learn all the different things that are in Food Love and in my different courses. That's where the power and the self-control and the freedom comes from. And when you start to have this type of harmony in your life, you'd be surprised how much of a springboard it is to other areas of your life, to fixing relationships, to feeling better at work, to being a springboard to actually wanting to work out and not feeling obligated to work out because if you don't, then you don't lose weight, actually wanting to work out because you feel good afterwards. So with non-restrictive weight loss, you're basically starting from the beginning. You do not have to exercise. You don't have to get into anything other than getting your food life right. And how you do that is by never restricting yourself from the foods that you love. And the easiest way that I know how to do it is through Food Love and all the different programs that we have here. So for those of you that have zero motivation or are super lazy, in the next video, I'm going to show you how you can lose a ton of weight not being motivated at all. actually dreading losing weight or going on any sort of weight loss process again. If you have zero motivation and you're crazy lazy, head on over to this video. I'll see you there.